Domestic abuse will never end until we make it socially unacceptable. Quote by Mark Groves from the National Center for Domestic Violence. Domestic abuse has become such a diluted topic over the past few years. Victims are being blamed for what they had to endure while their abusers are let off with a slap on the wrist, their charges dropped and lessened despite the person they hurt forever being stuck in a lifetime of trauma and scarring. Moreover, nobody even seems to bat an eye when jokes are made about the torture the victims had to go through. Due to all of this, domestic violence has become normalized in this current day and age. With the normalization of these terrible acts, all committed by someone the victim should have been able to trust, the situations aren't dealt with nearly as seriously as they should be. For this to stop, to be taken seriously, for the victims to get the justice and help they deserve, people need to stop normalizing domestic violence and realize it's unacceptable. People need to make it known that domestic abuse is not to be tolerated. Some people see the situation from the outside while wearing rose-colored glasses, victim blaming and forgetting who's really in the wrong. We could all open our eyes a little bit more, just enough to see how terrible domestic violence is. 1 in 3 domestic abuse survivors are shown to have considered or committed suicide at a point. Some people may be able to see the chain and connection between these two issues in our world, but I'll spell it out for those who can't. Victims of domestic violence are more likely to develop mental health issues and psychological problems due to their trauma and their brain's response to it all. These issues can cause mental strain, which can lead to depression and suicidal thoughts. Men can experience domestic violence too. A lot of people have this idea of a man, strong and masculine, unable to show emotion, and always having the whole dominance, while in most situations, this can prove untrue. Everyone is entitled to be their own person and having their own beliefs. 9 times out of 10, men are actually viewed as inferior if they're experiencing domestic violence. I think more helplines and safe houses for men should be admitted or available, as domestic violence is unacceptable in all ways and nobody should ever have to experience it. Punishment for the abusers in domestic violence situations is nowhere near enough. With the dilution of abuse as a whole, punishment and consequence for the abusers has gone completely out the window. It's measly and, quite frankly, disgusting. As someone who's had to live in a household where domestic violence took place, it's unacceptable that the abusers are let off easily while the victim forever has those horrible memories. Victims can never get peace of mind, especially when their abuser is out roaming the streets freely. According to statistics from the Texas Judiciary Branch, about 50% of felony and 30% of misdemeanor cases of domestic violence are dropped. I don't believe there's enough punishment for the crimes committed by those who actually are charged. I think if harsher or more effective punishments are omitted, then maybe domestic violence cases would go down in number. Resources are a big part of the path to recovery for domestic violence survivors, yet there's still limited amounts of them and multiple victims who don't even have access to them. A lot of the time, people are turned away as the shelter is too full. This issue is continuing to cause people to suffer, which means more and more victims don't get help. If more safe houses, hotlines, and helplines are put into place, then we could possibly protect victims more efficiently and prevent future cases from occurring. I believe that we could also help raise general awareness for domestic violence and relationship safety education to the more impressionable crowd. Middle schoolers to high schoolers are more likely to get in relationships while still in their more youthful and gullible stages of life, which makes them more likely to experience upsetting situations with little to no education on the matter. I think we could help save a lot of people from future and current situations if more awareness is raised and education is spread. I also think that, as people, we could put an end to domestic violence and bring the victims the justice and help they deserve. We could admit more safe houses, helplines, and hotlines for the victims to contact and go to in order to help escape their situations. We could educate the more impressionable crowds on what domestic violence is and how to identify it, giving them numbers and contact resources. Finally, we can make punishment and consequence for the abusers more effective, longer sentences and different treatment facilities in order to scare people away from that route and get them off the streets. There are an estimated 10 million domestic violence victims a year. If we help by putting out more resources for these victims, we could possibly prevent more cases from occurring. I've had to experience living in a household and seeing these things happen with my own eyes. And not only does domestic violence affect the victim, but it also affects anyone else who can see it too. It's a chain reaction, and it most definitely is scarring. It doesn't help anybody, it only hurts. So why center your life around physically and mentally hurting someone that you're supposed to love? We need to put an end to this, and we need to put an end to this now.